Hi everyone, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. My name is Osereme. If you see me for the first time, thank you so much for being here. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys how I drafted the pattern for the making of this crop shirt. Now I wasn't able to film the sewing tutorial, so what you're going to be seeing is just the pattern drafting. So this is what the back looks like. It's actually very simple, and then it has this big sleeve, and then it's a crop shirt. So if this is something you're interested in learning how to make, you want to keep on watching. If you're yet to subscribe to my channel, hit on the subscribe button and let's get started. So guys, I have my pattern paper here. This is going to be serving as the shoulder, and then this plain part is going to serve as the center. Okay, this is the shoulder. I already drew a straight line across to serve as the shoulder line. Now from this shoulder line, I'm going to measure down to my bust. Shoulder to bust point for me is 10 inches. And then still placing the tape at the shoulder line, I'm going to come down by the length I want this crop shirt to be. Now notice that there is like no waist. We're just going to mark the length we want the crop shirt to be. And for me, it's 17 inches. I made a point there. Now I'm going to use my ruler to draw straight lines across these points. Now I went ahead to label the shoulder line, the bust line, and of course the hem line on the last line. So now for the back neckline, on the shoulder line, I'm going to come in by 3 inches from the center here, and then I'll come down by 1.5 inch. I'm going to use my curve rule to connect a small round neckline. So now on the shoulder line, I'm going to divide my shoulder measurement into two. My shoulder measurement divided by 2 is 7, but I'm going to add an extra 1 inch and mark it here at 8 inches. The extra 1 inch is because this is going to be a free shirt. Now from this point, I came down by 1 inch. This 1 inch is for my shoulder slope. I'm going to connect from this shoulder slope point I just made into the top of the neckline, just like I did now. Now, I just decided to use a marker to trace out the neckline and the shoulder slope so that it will be very visible for us to see. Now, from the shoulder slope, I'm going to come down by my armhole depth. This is gotten by dividing your bust measurement by 6 and adding 1.5 to what you get. When I took that measurement, I got 7. So I created a point at the 7 inches point, and I'm using my ruler to draw a straight line across, and I just labeled this CL, which is the chest line. Now I'm going to draw a straight line from the shoulder slope down to meet the chest line like I just did. So guys, next thing I'm going to do is on this new chest line, I'm going to divide my bust measurement into 4. So go ahead and divide your bust measurement into 4 and make a mark. Now from this point, I'm going to add an extra 1 inch. This 1 inch is for ease because this is going to be a free shirt. Now I'm going to use my curve to connect into the straight armhole that we had earlier. Notice that I didn't divide this armhole in any way, okay? So I just connected straight into the armhole and then take it all the way up, just like you see me doing like this. Next, you're going to measure what you have on the chest line here and just replace it back on the hemline. This is because the top is actually going to be straight, so you don't need to actually bother yourself with your waist measurements. So just take the same measurement you have on chest line and take it down to the hip line. So guys, once you're done drafting it out, you will notice that it looks like a box. This is exactly what it should look like. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out now. Please pay attention so that you don't mix up the pattern when you are cutting it out. So I'm just going to quickly label this the back. Now that we've drafted out the back pattern, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to draft out the front. To draft out the front, you will need a longer piece of pattern paper. So I have it here, and it's quite different from the back because I'm going to be drafting the colors along with the front pattern. So instead of starting my pattern drafting from exactly the top, I'm going to come down by 6 inches from the top of the pattern paper here, and from the center I'll go in by about 5 inches as well. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is to draw straight lines across using this point from these points that I just made. Now I'm going to draw a line towards the side here, and from this point I'll draw a line all the way to the end. So now this line at the top is going to be my shoulder line, okay? So from this shoulder line, I'm going to measure down to my bust point. Shoulder to bust for me is 10 inches. And then still leaving the tape at the top, my shoulder to the hem where I want this top to be, just like we did in front. It was 17 inches. I went ahead to make a mark at the 17 inches point. So I'm going to draw straight lines across this point. Make sure to draw out the lines just like I'm doing like this. Okay, so now I have the shoulder, I have the bust, and then the hemline. So now for the front neckline, I'm going to come down from the shoulder by 3 inches for the neck depth. And for the neck width, it's going to be exactly the same as what we have at the back, which is also 3 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and connect the 2 points with my curve. So now from the center here, I'm going to go in by half of my shoulder measurement plus 1 inch, just like I did on the back pattern. And then I'm going to connect it into the top of the neckline for my shoulder slope. And I'm just going to go ahead and get my armhole depth just the same way I did it when I was drafting on the back pattern. It's exactly the same thing. I also went ahead to add my body measurement from the chest and the hemline, just like I did on the back pattern. So now the major difference between the front and the back is going to be the colors that we're going to have in front of this shirt. And I'm going to be drafting the color along with the pattern, okay? So now first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is from this center line here in front, I'm going to come out on all points by 1 inches for my button flap. Remember that this shirt is going to be having a button in front, so you need a space for that. So I'm going to connect a straight line and connect it into the body of the shirt. I'm also going to come out on the neckline by the same 1 inch. I should have done it earlier before joining it. Just come out on the neckline as well and connect it to meet the other line. So you have come out by 1 inch on every single point. This is going to be for the collar. Now, once you're through with this, the next thing you want to do is from the chest line, you're going to connect a V into the neckline that we already have. Okay, go ahead and connect a V from the chest line into the neckline that you already have. So now I'm going to go ahead and measure around the back neckline. This is why you should make sure to draft the back pattern before drafting the front, because you need the measurement around the neckline. I took my measurement and it was about 4 inches. I think it was about 3.9, okay, very close to 4. So I'm going to use that inches to come up from the shoulder. So I'm placing the tape here at 3.9 and I went up from the shoulder by that measurement. And what I'm going to do is to connect from the top of the shoulder, that's the neckline, to this new point I got on top. So I'm going to make sure it's slanted and not very straight, okay? So now from this point, I'm going to go in by 1/4 inch so that our collar will sit in perfectly. So from this 1/4 inch I went in by, I created a new point to meet the neckline and cancelled out the first one I had before. Now from this new neckline here, I'm going to come out by how long I want the collar to be. Now this is totally dependent on you, but most times 3.5 inches is perfect. So I'm going to create a point here at the 3.5 inches point, and notice that it's also not standing straight. It's kind of slanted up a little bit. Okay. So once you've drawn that out, what you want to do is to come to this neckline here. From this point, you're going to come out by 1/2 inch, like I just did. I make it a little point here, and I'm going to connect this little point into the neckline like this. So once you've done this, you're going to use your curve to connect from the top of the collar to the bottom like this. Now, this is how to go about drafting out a shirt that has a notch collar. If you go ahead and put the pieces together and sew this, you're going to end up with a notch collar, which is exactly what I had after I was done making this shirt. Now, I'm going to go ahead and label this the front and go ahead and cut out these pieces. Notice that when you're cutting this out, first thing you're going to do is to cut off the collar part very carefully. You can see where I'm cutting it out. Make sure that you're following it exactly the way I did it here. So this is the collar, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut out the shirt, the body of the shirt. You can notice I'm starting from the bottom flap. So the bottom flap in the front is going to be a part of the shirt, okay? So now this is what it looks like, right? When you're done making this area is going to fold in as part of the collar, and then this other part is going to come from the back, and you're going to have a little notch in this area. So this is what it's going to look like. And then the excess on the collar is going to be sewn towards the back, so everything is going to fit in perfectly. Remember, this is the back pattern that we drafted before. So these are the two patterns, the front and the back. When I'm cutting this out on fabric, I'm going to be adding extra 1 inch for stitching allowance. I haven't added stitching allowances to this yet. The only thing I added was the allowances for ease, because this was going to be a free shirt. So guys, yeah, this is it for the cutting out of the front and back pieces. I'm going to go ahead and place this on my fabric now and cut out every single piece. There I'll be adding stitching allowances to all the pieces. So guys, these are all the pieces after I was done cutting them out on fabric. To the center front, I added half an inch to the center here, half-inch stitching allowance here. For the neckline, half-inch, shoulder half-inch, and to the armhole area, I added half-inch. Now for the side, I decided to add 1 inch for stitching allowance, and for the end of the shirt, I decided to add 2 inches. This is because I felt like the shirt was a little bit too short, so I wanted it to be a little bit longer. So that's why I added 2 inches. On a normal day, you should add 1 inch to this side so that you'll be able to fold it up. Now for the back, the center was in a fold. Okay, the center was in a fold. I only added half an inch to the neck, the shoulder, and the armhole area. And of course, like I did in front, I added 1 inch to the side and added 2 inches to the ends. Now for the collar, the center was folded into two as well. Make sure that it's in a fold. Okay. Now the curved part is going to be the side. The center is the straight part. I added half an inch stitching allowance all the way around, but make sure that it's in a fold. So when you open it up, it becomes like this, and you'll be cutting out two pieces. Now for the sleeves, I already have a full tutorial on the channel on how to draft out a basic sleeve. I did that tutorial for both long sleeve and short sleeve. So I'll be leaving a link to that in the description box for you guys to go ahead and check it out. Now, like I said in the beginning of this video, I wasn't able to film the sewing part of this tutorial because I was preparing for an event and I was really trying to put a lot of things together. I really wanted to film the sewing part. I started with it, but I wasn't able to finish it up. So this is just the pattern drafting. I hope that you guys would be able to at least understand how to go about the cutting and just put the pieces together on your own. But I'll be filming a more proper tutorial, probably on something similar for you guys to understand how to go about notch collar. With that being said, thank you so much guys for watching this particular video. I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.